We'll see. It looks like everybody's on. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just start a little 2-minute thing, folks. Good morning. I hope everybody got home safely last night. So welcome to the PHS quarterly staff meeting, and I think that 2021 is all about collaboration and collaboration with us as a team. And I was thinking about this last night as I sat for an hour and did not move a quarter of a mile. And I looked at all the Teams messages that we shared back and forth. And I thought, Teams, who would think that the Cove would have Microsoft Teams? And we did, and we utilized it, and it was very, it's very important because we communicated with trying to make sure that everybody was getting home safely and given tips on where the weather was bad, where it was good, where the road conditions, and it was that means a lot to me that we are looking out for each other. So I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? This is what these are things we need to really focus on as our teams in Covington. The trust and establishing trust with each other and maintaining and building the trust with each other, engaging our patients and our families and our referral sources, assisting each other. Let's give each other the assist. If somebody needs help, let's offer to help each other out. We do a great job of that. I'm sure we could do a little better. Motivate. We need to continue to motivate each other. We have, it's the 2020 was tough with COVID, and we're still in it, and there's cold, dreary days, and sometimes we just need to lift each other up and motivate each other. And finally, what are we here for? We're here to serve our patients, the kiddos, the families, adult, pediatric. We're here to serve our patients and our families, and let's not lose sight of that or lose focus. But that's just my little thing on Teams. With that, I'm going to unshare, and I am going to turn this over and introduce. Let me get back here. There we go.
Me.
I'm going to introduce, there's that. I'm going to introduce Todd Erickson and Lisa Bear from Human Resources. And I know that we forwarded a few questions there. So I will turn it over to Todd and Lisa, and thank you and welcome.
Well, thank you, Carolyn. And good morning, Covington. Yes, both Lisa and I are on the phone. Lisa is going to take the first or the next slide here, just to review with you all the steps that you've gone through as part of our integration, and maybe that will prompt some questions that you guys might have about anything that we've been unclear or that you need further information on. So, Lisa, you take it away, and then I'll attempt to answer the questions after that.
Yeah. Do we have the slide deck? Do you know? I don't know if Jody or Judy.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I can pull it up really quick. We just have a little bit of confusion, I think, on who was gonna.
Jody, I'll pull it up. This is Susan.
Awesome. Thank you, Susan. You're the best.
Great. Yeah, and I can definitely get started. So I'm Lisa Bear on the HR team. So I focus on our M&A work, projects related to integrating our new acquisitions and, in some cases retroactively. And so we have kind of in the midst of completing up some pre-hire requirements that you guys have all done. It's a long list here. So onboarding, benefits enrollment, background checks that, had to kind of be in some cases be redone. We audited all those employee files for BLS cards. All the training's been completed, state and other licenses for clinicians. And then we're still in the midst of wrapping up a fingerprinting process for the state of Ohio. I know some of that is on hold a bit just due to COVID and that kind of thing, of that needing to be done in person. And then some I-9 form corrections will be ongoing. But other than that, we're really, really close to wrapping all of that up. So just wanted to say thank you to everything you guys have done. That's a lot to do in a short amount of time, just in the last few months, in addition to all of your other priorities and the great work that you guys do. So I just wanted to say thank you. And yeah, any questions related to any of these processes or anything else before we get into some specifics, like benefits, that kind of thing? Yeah. Anything? And then I know there are a number of questions submitted, so I don't know, Todd, I think you're gonna go through those answers.
Sure. Yes,
Great.
a number of really good questions related to the 401k, as I'm sure many of you are very curious about that transition. So the first one is, when is that going to happen? We do hope that we're starting that process of merging the plans next month. It is a rather lengthy process. It'll take up to 3 months. There is a reason why we've been working with ERISA attorneys as well as accountant staff to do audit on your existing plan before we can effectively, what happens is you freeze that plan and then you merge it into our plan. The reason it takes 3 months is there's a lot of accounting also that has to take place between the two providers. So they will be mapping the investments that you currently have to the very similar investments that we have in our plan. Now, whether or not you guys have to do anything, that's negative. That will all be taken care of for you, and you'll be getting notification throughout the process as that happens. So the way that, number two, the way that you can make your 401k contribution the same, you can actually go into Empower Now if you have elected to start that plan in Empower, and you can view and change those contributions at any time. And you can see the website that's there and that probably has been provided to you in previous notifications. Loan payments, as you might guess, as the plans are going through this process, they will be on hold. But once the plans merge, then those payments will start back up again. And one of the employees has asked about their contribution maybe being a little different on their paycheck. Without knowing specifically who you are, we couldn't necessarily answer that question. So we're just asking you to reach out to either myself or to Jenny Butner in HR, and we can look at your paycheck and we'll probably have an explanation for that. And yes, question number 5, you will be getting quarterly statements. They'll be mailed to you, or if you choose, they'll be sent to you electronically. And then I think on the next slide, we only had one payroll question, and that was related to changing your direct deposit. And yes, you can change that right on UltiPro. So if you go to the main menu to myself and then pay, and then you'll see the direct deposit option, and you can enter it right there. We had some questions about our HSA and whether you are automatically enrolled in FSA, which that is different than an HSA. So we do not have an FSA, but employees are automatically enrolled in a health savings account, and we contribute dollars toward that account every pay period, and you can also contribute your own. So when you look on your paycheck stub, you're going to see an entry for, and it reads just as you see here, HSA ER, which stands for employer, single or family. And what you're going to see is an income line item. That's our contribution to your HSA account. And then you're going to see the same amount with the same description as a deduction. And we do that. It's just a way that allows us to report this as income, but then also as a pre-tax deduction. So it reports correctly on your W-2. And can HSA dollars go directly into your personal HSA? No, they actually have to go to the further account. Employees can consolidate, so if you want to roll over your own personal HSA account into further, you can do that. And there are instructions, again, on UltiPro. If you go to benefits, medical, health savings account, and then HSA rollover, you'll see that form that would allow you to do that. And then the next slide gives you some more of the specifics because we had somebody ask how much. And you can see this in the benefit guide, which is also available on UltiPro. So the table is probably what illustrates that best. So you can see the top line where PHS makes a contribution. For single people in the single coverage plan, it's 150, and for family, it's 500. And then you'll see the corresponding biweekly amount. So we make those contributions throughout the year. And then you can also see then what would be the remaining balance that you can contribute. So you can, if you're a single person, you can contribute up to an additional $3,450 for a total of the IRS maximum of $3,600. And of course, if you're older than 55 or 55 and older, you can contribute an additional $1,000 on top of that. So hopefully that answered your questions, but I'll pause here if this has brought on some new questions.
Hey, Todd, this is Carolyn.
Yeah,
I do have an add-on question here. As far as with the HSA and the contribution that PHS makes, is there an added contribution by PHS for like if you do like get your wellness visits or, any type of incentive that way? I thought I read that.
right.
Okay.
There is, and we have a physician engagement program so that if you and your spouse, for this year in 2021, if you and your spouse go and have your annual physical done with a number of the checks that are prescribed there that we set out, then you get an additional amount. And I could guess at it, but I don't want to guess at what that amount is. So I could get back to you with that number.
Is there you said a list, a checklist? Is that what you said?
There is. It's like blood pressure, cholesterol,
Okay.
BMI. So there's a number of biometrics that they want your doctor to talk with you about and test, because those are the tests that would indicate some of the more common high risk disease, and it helps us to hopefully address them early enough so that they don't become expensive or become obviously adverse for you as from a health perspective.
Right. So where do we take that like checklist to our physician, and if so, where would
Yes.
I find that?
That also is on UltiPro.
Okay.
In that benefits section. And I can follow up as well with you and the team there with that information.
Great. I appreciate that. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I guess we turn that over to Jameson.
Thanks, Todd. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jameson Young. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, I am the Chief Financial Officer for the organization. So wanted to take just a couple of minutes today to talk through some of our financial results for 2020 and also take a look ahead at what we're expecting for fiscal year 2021. This first slide shows the 2020 results on an overall basis for the Covington location. We did have revenue of $8 million, which is about 16% better than we saw in 2019. Certainly want to thank the team for their many contributions to making that happen. We did have a little bit of difference in terms of the two companies. I know the adult side of the business and pulmonary has certainly seen a little more pressure than the pediatric side, perhaps when it comes to the COVID pandemic. But we did have revenue growth on the peds side of about 21.6%. And then we were under 2019 by 16% on the adult side of the business. So despite some of that really great revenue performance, we did have some cost increase in the year. And this is not isolated to the location in Covington. This is something that we have seen across the organization. I think there's probably several contributing factors, but certainly the COVID pandemic, the difficulty in procuring different types of supplies throughout the year, and certainly our increase in utilization of some supplies like PPE in order to keep the staff and our families protected has increased on a year-over-year basis. And what that resulted in was nearly a 5% increase in the cost of supplies that we use to treat our kiddos. So I understand that the percentages maybe don't look large, but when you look at that based on a company generating, in this case, $8 million in revenue, the dollars definitely start to add up there. What this resulted in is EBITDA of about $2 million for the combined operations in Covington. EBITDA is a measure that we use to track and understand the profitability of the company and sort of our ongoing ability to continue to care for patients. It's really, if you want to think about it, it's meant to be an indicator of all the revenue coming in for the services we provide, less the costs that we have to run the company, is really what EBITDA is meant to be a measure of. So again, some great stories on the revenue side, not as great story on the cost side, but still certainly generating a good and sustainable profit to continue to grow the organization. The next slide talks about our projections for 2021 and what we're expecting. Certainly looking to continue to grow the business. We have revenue budgeted at $8.4 million for the year. That's about a 13% increase over 2020. We do have both the peds and the adult side of the business growing, but a more emphasis on the pediatric side at just over 9% revenue growth compared to a 4% revenue growth on the adult side of the business. Some of this will be contributed to by our plans to expand in a location yet to be determined in the Central Kentucky region. Certainly looking to continue to grow the business, and that will contribute to the revenue growth that we are planning for in 2021. We are projecting a little bit of improvement on the cost of goods sold side relative to where we landed in 2020. Not really looking to recover all of the loss that we had this year, but certainly wanting to improve the kind of rate that we're able to procure those supplies at. A lot of this is part of a enterprise-wide effort that's being led by our new Director of Purchasing, Amy Zuber, to consolidate all of our purchasing contracts and be able to leverage the buying power that we have as a much larger organization kind of across the enterprise. So that work is underway. I know several of you are already working with Amy and collaborating on that project. And we definitely are focused on that in the first quarter, wanting to try to have the most impact we can to our 2021 year. We are projecting EBITDA to be relatively stable. A lot of that is a result of the startup costs that we'll have related to the new Central Kentucky location. And we'll certainly start to see that EBITDA growth continue in later years once we get that operation up and running. With that, I'll turn it over to Joe.
Thanks, Jamison. Good morning, everybody. This is Joe Dietlein. So I get the opportunity over the next couple of slides to give a quick corporate development update, particular to the new location, and then talk through a couple of slides around the 2020 year in review. So we'll get started with, I like Jameson just referred to it as the Central Kentucky location. And we've variously called it Lexington and other names, but right now we're looking for real estate. We had zeroed in on the Lexington market, and the real estate is proving to be a bit elusive as far as the perfect location that we want to get into. So I know that Carolyn was in that area looking at real estate earlier this week, and hopefully we're getting close to finding a place and signing a lease. Our doors open date is targeted for July 1st, and that is very much dependent on finding our location and then getting in there and establishing our licensing. From a staffing standpoint, recruiting also will be driven by that. Optimistic Joe Dietline says recruiting to begin in the next 30 days. So Covington 2020 year in review. So the next couple of slides are a compilation of your input. So over the last couple of weeks, we've been gathering stories, comments, and thoughts about 2020. It was sure a weird year, and we really appreciate everybody that sent in stories and thoughts about what was special, what were accomplishments that we had last year. And these are the comments that came in particular to Covington. I went over a couple of these in the recorded version of the all staff meeting, and I hope you all noticed the outstanding picture of your fearless leader in Covington. She is awesome and a great part of the team. The spirit that Carolyn brings is second to none. We tried to get some other pictures in here. I think at the end we've got a group shot of you guys. Just to highlight a couple, I'm not going to read all of these, but we'll make the comments available after the meeting. But I liked the Elton John reference, I'm Still Standing, 2020 when we got to the end. I felt the same. Goodness, we made it through a tough one. The leadership comments very much about Mike, moving on and a much earned retirement for Mike. So the big guy moving into the enteral room during construction and helping Carolyn transition into the GM position as he prepared for retirement. All great accomplishments. Leadership transition, especially with a founder moving on, are always tough, and getting through them is a big accomplishment. So something to celebrate. Next slide, Susan. Other stories that came in, the inventory. I know in 2020 we spent a lot of time cleaning up the inventory and working through that process. Great experience of collaboration, as Carolyn talked about at the top of the call. Using our teams and leaning on each other is important as we learn more and develop new processes. Ryan rejoining Covington as a therapist, great therapist back in the fold. That's somebody called that out as really special. The team down there is a great team, and highlighting the special team members is something that everybody talks about and is excited about as we go into 2021. The last slide that we've got really highlights the awesome team that we have. So look at you guys, our branded masks. I love those. And looks like somebody has their frowny face on up front, but mostly smiles in there. Thanks everybody for everything that you do. Hopefully the new office is fantastic. I look forward to getting down there and seeing everybody again and seeing not just in pictures how all the construction turned out. So happy 2021. Thanks for all of your hard work in 2020. Rick?
Thank you much, Joe. Appreciate it. I am Rick Mueller, your IT director. Just wanted to give a brief update on the projects that will be coming up over the next quarter. Since we last met, I had the opportunity to come down to Covington, so it was great to see many of you in the office and help with some of the card access systems that we were putting in at the time. Brief update on mobile delivery. I know we're still challenged by working sales orders across both the PHS and Pulmonary Partners side and sharing of those sales orders onto the single mobile delivery or Apacheta application. We are working with our vendor to try to develop a solution. that we can put in place in the interim and then kind of plan out for long-term with the EHR project coming over the next few quarters. On that note, for the EHR project, what you see here on the initiation, configuration, validation, and adoption phases is really the timeline associated with our MyUnity platform. And MyUnity is the clinical documentation, intake or admissions, scheduling for the visits, as well as the clinical revenue cycle components. So really the patient life cycle really starts with MyUnity. We consider it to be the largest tentpole in the EHR project, but many of the other platforms will fit within this project plan. That includes the Brightree for PHS at large, the MyPHS portal, which will enable online supply reordering for our patient families, and some of the back-end systems like MD Clarity, Sugar CRM integration to help with back office efficiencies. So the various phases kicked off a couple weeks ago, really. So today through the end of March is our initiation phase. That is where where we will be doing, my apologies, a lot of documentation, a lot of process analysis, trying to develop what you may have heard of as the PHS standard across all of our locations to get ready for the actual build of the system. Rachel has used this analogy of it's like building a house. So right now we are working on the blueprints for that house. We can't see the house yet. We can only have a vision of what it's going to look like, but we really get to weigh in a lot on what we want that house to ultimately look at like. And that's what we'll be working on really heavily over the next couple months. Then we get into the configuration phase, or really the construction of the house. So our vendors will be working on those plans we put together, building out the system, doing constant check-ins with us to ensure that the build quality is where we need it to be. And that will last from April into early June. And then we actually get to see the place. So we get to kind of work within the system in very short iteration cycles. Provide constant feedback to all of the vendors to ensure that what we planned out is the actual house that was built. So the lights are in the right place, the paint colors look good, has that nice new house smell, and we're getting ready to move in. And then really the exciting part is the adoption phase. So that will be August into early October. Our early October is really our go live, where we'll have all of our patients within the system, but building up to that point, we do what's called a full user acceptance testing. So we have folks from all of our locations working with test data, sample data, and running all the workflows through that EHR platform across all of the systems. Again, more constant feedback to our vendors to tweak any last remaining things. And then we go into a full production testing. And what that means is that we take a limited set of patients with a dedicated set of internal resources and actually live in that house with real patients, real experiences, real life kind of getting in the way like it does today, and are able to, with a limited set of patients, provide that really great feedback to not only our vendors, but also our internal teams as we finalize the training materials and the transition plans for the full 15,000 patient migration that will occur in early October across all locations. So we're super excited about the project. As I mentioned in the video, if you are a technology-minded person and maybe consider yourself to be an early adopter, please speak with your leadership about helping out with the project. We can always use more resources to help us ensure that the house is built is really a great home for PHS. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the help desk. That would go for any break, fix sort of incidents or any service requests. Always start with that help desk at pediatrichomeservice.com, or feel free to give us a call. We're available 24/7, 365. So looking forward to the project. If you do have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I actually believe this is the last slide, so I will turn it back over to the closer.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, everybody. There we go. Judy, do you have anything that you want to add? I forgot to welcome you and say good morning.
Oh, no worries, Carolyn. Thanks so much. Good morning, everyone. I think the plans for the staff meeting and contributions have been wonderful. So I really don't have anything to add. Carolyn, I know you were worried. Carolyn is getting her second dose of the vaccine, weather permitting. So I will let you close, and I appreciate being welcomed, Carolyn. Thank you.
All right, folks, does anybody have any questions for me or anybody on from leadership on the presentation? I know we saw all viewed the video, and you know, again, more exciting things to come. So with you know, the adding a location down in Central Kentucky, the whole IT project is going to be really exciting. So it'll be fun. And again, if you have any questions that you need for me to get answered for you, or you want to go ahead and reach out to IT or HR, please do so. But if we don't have anything else, I think that we can close, and everybody be safe, because it looks like we're still getting some snow here. And I will get my vaccine and hopefully be in shortly. Everybody have a good day.
Take care, you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.